I'm Priya Raghubir. I'm a professor of marketing at the Stern School of Business in New York University. In an economic downturn, typically what happens is that people are much more value and price conscious. So the very first thing you see is people are much more likely to buy the store brand rather than national brands, and are more likely to buy national brands when they are offered on sale. Offering products on sale is, the quickest, easiest way to increase your short-term sales. In my opinion, it's also a very long-term destructive way, because what you end up doing is training people to shop on price rather than on brand and quality. But certainly there is a move towards value, and the value that you typically see is the store brand. The typical way it enters is the economic way, which is it's the cost for getting something. However, the value around it is uncertain. So there's a theory called prospect theory by Kahneman and Tversky, and they talk about the importance of price always being evaluated in terms of some kind of a reference. And that reference could be an expectation of what price should be, or a fair price, somebody else's price, a past price, such as a price which you saw on promotion, for example. And so then you evaluate the price in terms of whether it's lower or higher than what you expected it to be. And so if you see a price which is higher than what you expected it to be, you are more likely to suffer this, what they call a loss. And this loss has a very strong negative effect in your likelihood of purchasing. Whereas if you see a price which is lower than you expected it to be, for example, product was at full price and now it's offered on promotion, that gives you a gain, and you're more likely to buy because you have positive utility associated with the gain. But the additional utility you get from the gain is in fact smaller than the disutility you would get from an equivalent loss. So if your reference point changes across time and the sale product is now offered back at full price, then it leads to this feeling of a loss, and people are unlikely to buy. And so it really hurts you if people's reference points change into your sale price. There are two other routes through which it could enter. One is an informative route, and the third is an affective route. So an informative route would be all the kinds of inferences you would draw from price. And the typical inference you end up drawing from price is higher price is equal to higher quality. So in the absence of any other cues, you would make the judgment that maybe it's better raw materials, or maybe it is gives you greater value, and so you end up actually buying the price rather than paying the price. That's one typical informative route through which price enters the purchase decision. The third route is affective, and there is less research which has been done on the affective route, but affect is overall the feelings and emotions associated with price, and these could be emotions of whether the price is just or fair, whether I react badly to it because I feel that somebody in the seat next to me paid a lot less for their airline ticket than I did, or a feeling of regret, or a feeling of excitement surrounding, for example, a sweepstake, or a feeling of feeling smart that I managed to purchase a whole bunch of things and pay a good price for them. So you have the economic route, the informative route, and the affective route, three pretty distinct ways in which price enters the purchase decision. One of the big things, again, which happens in an economic downturn, and it's pretty visible in a city like New York, is you're more likely to cook food, buy food, prepackaged food, as compared to going out to eat. So the economy does lead to an overall influence on the likelihood of your spending on luxury goods, and entertaining and eating out is more in the luxury sphere as compared to, say, getting canned soup. However, if you are unused to cooking, then, rather than start from scratch, you're much more likely to go the route of a pre-packaged meal. As I said, canned soup, something which is easy to prepare, and so you could use that for dinner and be more likely to make yourself that sandwich for lunch rather than go out and eat. If you advertise your price, you would be perceived to be cheap. So anything which is bold in terms of value leads to the possible connotation of it being lower quality. However, if you use cues which are very consistent with value, for example, on your package you have an attractive dish in which that product could be served, you are suggesting that that is the kind of product which could be served at a sit-down dinner table when you are either eating yourself or entertaining or trying to feed your children. So any of those contexts which would suggest where the product could be used, elegantly photographed, would make a very nice visual for a package. Well, you know about the Tropicana big problem with their packaging when they went to this extremely basic store brand looking design. When people are taking a look at the quality of a package and use it as a cue to infer the quality of the product inside it, and when it was excessively basic, it looked too much like a store brand, which is fine for a store brand, but with Tropicana, you want to see that pulp and the juice and all the interesting the product in a glass maybe, and they, I think, quickly decided to take that off the market. I think smart companies are going to really be building on consumer brand loyalty at this time rather than work on the simpler mechanism of cutting price. They really should be investing in their brand at this stage, because if consumers leave them at this stage, whenever the economy improves, these brands will really be hurting. There is a tendency for people to be less brand loyal when they shop for value, and if the company is going to assist you in shopping for value by offering products at discount, then they're really going to be losing a lot of their strength, which is their customer loyalty and brand equity. My strong advice to most people is, if you're trying to leverage the economy, which is a problem right now, rather than cut prices on your existing brands, come up with a recession-friendly offering, which does not impact as much your primary brand offering, but is available there, recognizes the fact that people are hurting and do need some assistance. Like was done with the Hyundai ad in the automobile industry. I thought it was a brilliant campaign to work off the recession, cross-sell Hyundai Assurance, and at the same time sell the Hyundai car with a very, very strong niche. Starbucks, for example, with their new value menu, it's totally a nod to the recession. So you can have these combined bundles where you get the sandwich and coffee for under $5, and they're trying to reestablish their image as being a place where you can get a drink and a meal for under $5. And of course, Dunkin' Donuts is attacking them on that turf by saying that you could get the 99-cent latte without having to wait. Their Starbucks' big problem was, I thought, more of a misperception surrounding their price point. People thought that they were more overpriced than they actually were. And so that, I think, is something that they're trying to correct, to say, look, we are less priced, and what they're trying to do is get people to spend the same amount, just get more value. So they're reducing their margins, hopefully trying to increase the volume. Overall, I think people are going to continue to entertain, but instead of having the food catered, are more likely to get the trays from Costco, are more likely to get the hamburgers and do the barbecue at home, which is going to be more cost-effective entertaining. Will buy the wine at a cheaper store, with a good deal and do a bit of bring your own. You can always accessorize your meals. And so I think that would be a really nice way. You can make pretty much anything look either down market or up market, serve it in a nice plate, throw a few greens and reds around it and little umbrellas or sticks or picks or whatever, and it's very easy to make a inexpensive meal appear to be very tasty and delicious. So you could certainly shop at the farmer's market and, you know, reposition your meal as being gourmet healthy rather than necessarily expensive. Whenever there is a a downturn, people are looking for stability. They're looking for similarity with what they're used to, and so I'm not sure there is going to be an increase in experimentation, which is what ethnic foods would provide. However, I think there is a huge opportunity to prepackage these ethnic foods or get people to try them out in literally a dinner serving, and I don't see enough of that. I see there's a lot of pastas available, but I would love to, and there's some Thai food available, but it hasn't yet to me become like a mainstream movement. There's still the ethnic aisle where you would go and kind of experiment with something ethnic as opposed to becoming a mainstream meal. I think the farmers market would certainly continue, and I can almost say that it could increase in terms of its popularity, because you go in there, you're just buying these $1, $2, $3 things, and you feel that you've got this large amount of variety. It's all part of the experience. Extremely inefficient use of time, because that is the purpose of it. You know, it is entertainment. One of the overall big findings that we found in my work on volume perception as well as area perception is that people are notoriously bad at being able to identify volume or area. So for example, in one of our papers, we took a look at volume perception in terms of the elongation of the package. And we essentially found that the more elongated the package, the greater the perception of volume in that package. So this I find really interesting, and I do not find a lot of companies exploiting this in terms of an opportunity. There are very few brands which really separate out their containers in terms of their overall look, feel, and definitely their volume perception. In the area perception papers, we took a look at the price people would be willing to pay for a pizza as a function of its shape. You know, whether it's square, whether it's rectangular, whether it's circular. And you can imagine that people are not going through a pi-r square calculation when they are trying to compute the size of a pizza. And there's just suggests a huge area for people for pizza manufacturers, which could be in the food and beverage industry or in the retail sphere like Domino's and so on, to reprice and recommunicate the size of their pizzas. Because when somebody says 6-inch or 8-inch, I don't get that. Clearly there is a large opportunity in visual information around the pizza, or just the square inches of the pizza, I think would be much more, would allow consumers to be able to understand the difference in pricing from a smaller to a larger pizza. I recently was chatting with somebody from NPR, and they found that the people who were going to restock vending machines found that there were more coins being used than notes. We find that smaller notes, or smaller actually coins, are perceived to be less valuable than the same amount of money in a note. So if I'm deciding whether or not I need to buy something in the vending machine, I'm more likely to scrape around my coins lying around and get that Coke for free, because I didn't really spend any money, I just used my coins.